part is poetry recitation teams. I want to show you in your packet, if you'll look with me, after interpersonal language in your classroom and poetic language. And I'm not reading you. I hate it when I go to a workshop and somebody reads me their handout. I gave you the stuff. Here's the stuff, you know, all the documentation. And I don't think my research is in here. I apologize. Maybe I'll have Becky put it on the website, and you can go there and pull it down. But this is a poetry evaluation. This is a poetry recitation team. Our kids memorize a poem once a month. And so one of the things that we believe is that if we fill their wells with great poetry, and the poetry is based on their age. So kids in first grade will learn poems that are 4 and 5 and 6 lines. You know, they start with keep a poem in your pocket. And our older kids, by the time you're 13 or 14, your poems have to have 13 or 14 lines at least, or more. And so, and some of our kids, their poems have much more than that. I had a boy that did the Highwayman this last year. I had a child that did the Kraken. I have children that have done things that, to me, well, another one just did Robert Frost stopping in the wood on a snowy eve. What I do is I have these little green, yellow, and red and blue cards, and you'll see on there that it tells at the top what their jobs are for poetry recitation. The red child recites the poem. The blue child compliments people, says that's a great job. He's the starter of the compliments. Other kids can compliment. They're not allowed to criticize. They're only allowed to compliment. Instead of saying, it would have been great if, they say, this part was really good. And then if their friend who's working with them says, is there anything I need to work on, then they can give them the criticism. And then the green is the word checker. They have a piece of text in front of them. The child has to come with their poetry book, poetry journal, and put the text in front of them so that the person can check their words. And then the last person is the writer, and they write on the piece of paper what the child's score was and how they did. And then they all come together at the end and they evaluate, and that's how they do the scoring. By the time those 4 kids are done, I have oral language evaluation by their peers of all of my kids in my classroom on recitation day. And then they can nominate one of the people from their group to perform it in front of the classroom. So that means I don't necessarily have to listen. I'm walking around listening constantly. And if I see that a child got a very poor score, I'm for sure going to listen to them. I'm going to pull them aside and say, is there a problem? You know, did you not get to practice? What can I help with? Whatever. Because I get very specific training in oral language. First training is, and this is what you need to teach your kids, is plant your feet, tuck your buns, square your shoulders. If you do that, then your breath's going to come from the right place. You're not going to fall over when you're standing up there talking, and you're going to be much more confident if you know your position in front of the classroom. I know many adults would love to know that they have that confidence when they have to speak in front of adults. None of us have problems in front of children. It's in front of adults that we get difficulty. So then I'll ask the child that they nominate to come and do theirs. We work very hard on teaching oral expression, because how can I expect children to be fluent and have expression in their reading if I haven't taught them how to express through poetry and through doing prose out loud? You don't learn to express if it hasn't been modeled for you and you haven't worked with it verbally. I find people are doing all sorts of fluency work, and I teach a whole class on fluency. And my first thing I say to them is, you will never get fluency from your children until they are fluent orally. Once you have oral fluency and your children know how to say, and he jumped, and then he was very quiet. Until they can do that, they're not going to read that text that says that and do it. They have to, and they have to see it modeled. So I really challenge you to look at what kind of a model you are of oral language development. But this is our poetry recitation.